so what I'm going to do today is a little accuracy test. And I've got 4 different kinds of ammunition in the magazine here. And I'm going to be shooting from the prone at 50 yards, and my gun has a 36 yard zero. So I'll be slightly high at this distance at 50 yards. Now we're talking 14 yards. What's the height? It's super minimal. I'm probably not going to be able to shoot to that anyways. But ideal conditions, it would be slightly higher than it would be at 36 yards at my zero. I've got 4 different kinds of ammunition in the mag. The top ammunition is going to be Federal cartridge, 62 match, hollow points, 223. Then I'm going to have some American Eagle 223, 62 grain, full metal jacket, boat tails. Then I'm going to have some Frontiers loaded with Hornady. It's 223 rem, it's 55 grain, hollow point match. And then the last 6 rounds will be PPU, M193, 55, full metal jacket, boat tail. So that's what I'm going to be shooting. So it's 6, 6, 6, and 6. I'll do 2 groups of 3, rest for a second, 2 groups of 3, rest for a second, and so on. I have 4 targets down there at 50 yards. Each target is designated with the ammo it's going to be receiving. I have an ammo can with a foam pad set up, which I'll be resting the gun on. And the gun is you've seen me probably use this in many videos. It's a home built, but the core of the gun is a Rosco 13.7 inch barrel. I think it's 13.7, it's not a 13.5. 223 Wylde chamber with a Rosco bolt carrier group. That's the heart of it. I am shooting ALG Defense ACT, Advanced Combat Trigger. I love that trigger for as far as single stage trigger goes. I think it's a great trigger. And then the rest of the gun's standard AR15 parts. So that's what I'll be shooting. I do have a Surefire War Comp on here. But that really is probably not going to play much of a difference in accuracy. But that's it. So let's get to it. All right, so when shooting for accuracy, you want to rest the gun as many ways as you can. I tend to turn my dot down slightly till I can just barely see it. I'm going to get natural alignment with the target to take stress off my body. I'm resting now. I'm going to rest the gun on the foam block. The gun's pretty level, left to right. I don't have a balancer with me today. You could do that to help you with this. You see I'm bracing the gun under here, more just for support, because I don't want to hold the front end of the gun, because I don't want to put any undue tension on the front of the gun. So right now I'm just getting myself set up so I have a very good natural point of aim on the first target, which is going to be receiving that Federal ammo. So I want to get nice and comfy behind the gun. So I'm nice and comfy. My feet are flat on the ground. My legs are spread apart a little bit to give me stability to the rear. I am relaxed. I don't feel tense. I don't feel like I'm torqued or twisted. I'm going to close my eyes and breathe. Settle the gun, open my eyes, and I'm like 2 inches off the target, so that's perfect. So now I need to apply the fundamentals correctly. So when I apply the fundamentals, I want to make sure that I am breathing and using proper trigger control and proper tension on the gun. I don't want to over tension the gun, because that'll start moving it off target. So I'm relaxed behind the gun. I'm gonna get my finger where I want it on the trigger. Now I'm set on the trigger. Now this trigger does not have slack in it. Okay, there's group number 1. I'm going to rest for a second. Now, again, I have the variable of the wind going right to left. My barrel's going to start heating up a little bit, right? It is a little bit of a cool day, so I don't know how much of a factor that'll play, but let's see what happens on this next group. So there's 3 rounds of Federal. I'm going to move to the next target. Make sure I get comfortable on that one. Slight movements. Close my eyes, breathe. Open my eyes, see where the dot lands. A couple inches below it, right on. Hey, so same concept. I'm gonna do 3 rounds. I'm gonna rest for a second, do 3 rounds. Now, I will say, like, the only thing I fight with in this situation is stigmatism. My stigmatism makes the dot a little bit elongated. I keep both eyes open to help with that problem, and I just deal with it. Now, the aim points seem to give me the least amount of elongation when it comes to red dots, of the dots I've used. Wasn't comfortable, so I'm going to reset. There's group 1, now group 2. And I believe this is the, it's not the PPU, it's not the Frontier, it's not the Federal, it's whatever was after the Federal on that list. I'm for some reason blanking on it, but that's okay. American Eagle. Last one, I might have shanked that off. I think I blinked as I started pulling the trigger. I think I blinked. Could have been a flinch. But that's the Federal. Now I have the Frontier. Let's see how this does. Let me get on target, get my natural alignment so I take tension and torque off my body and off the gun. There we go. So when I exhale, and my chest comes to a rest or my stomach comes to a rest, I'm resting on the black circle. Now, one of the things that kind of messed me up on the first shot of that group is I switched from shooting from this part of my finger, the second metacarpal, to the pad closer to the tip of my finger, to get them more straight to the rear press. So we'll see what happens. All right, 3 more rounds of this. Trying to stay center of my circle of dot, center of the dot, or keep the dot center of the optic lens. I think that's important too, a little bit. Not much at this distance, but a little bit. So now the last one is the PPU. All right, last group of the PPU, then we're gonna go up and check. There we go. All right. So now it's time to get the rifle, go down range and check. Now I have a camera down range that has recorded all those impacts, so I know where if I have strays and stuff like that, where they are. I gave you guys a kind of synopsis as I was going if I thought I had a bad shot or something. Again, you know, the biggest thing for me is at 53, going on 54, the stigmatism that I have, and my nearsighted farsightedness, and my glasses being trifocals, figuring that whole concept out. But I think I got it down pretty good. Get in there. When you're doing this, get comfortable behind the gun. Get relaxed. The only thing I probably could have done better today would have been to put a shooting pad underneath me, so my elbows, this is kind of rocky ground, so my elbows weren't on the ground, which, you know, anytime you add any discomfort, this is what you're gonna get. It could lead to some kind of issue downrange. So not a big deal. It wasn't huge by any stretch of the means, but that was it. All right, let's go downrange and take a look. So the sun is to the back of the target, so the target's a little on the dark side, but that shouldn't stop anything from picking up what we need to see. I'm really looking for group size. That's the key here, is group size. All right. I'm looking for group size. That's my main goal. I'm not concerned about accuracy, but groups. As you can see, I'm not going to say the PPU is probably the best group of the bunch. I mean, the Federal's pretty good. I'm not worried about where they are on the target so much. I do have that. I mean, look at most of this left to right. I'm running that approximately 15 mile an hour wind right to left. Most of this stuff is to the left. Might have a factor in it. But this gun is zeroed with 55 grain full metal jackets. So 62 is going to change things a little bit. When you change ammo, it changes trajectory. But the groups are all pretty similar. You know, if you take the center shot there out of the AE, that group's pretty tight. If you take the one in the bottom right 9 ring out on this one right there, that's pretty tight. The PPU, that's just a good solid round group. And then that Federal, another good. If you take the one that's in the F out of it, it's a pretty decent group. Again, for my eyes, my stigmatism and everything, that's not too bad. I would have liked to seen it be better. If I was probably at a bench rest or something, I might have definitely shot a tighter group. I know last week at 100 yards, I was shooting actually groups tighter than that with this rifle from a bench with a rifle rest, which helps things. But that's not too bad. So the key to here is what I'm looking for is that none of the ammo is doing anything crazy different, and none of it is. I don't have some massive group. So I'm running those 3 kinds of ammo, and they're all, at this distance, are all printing pretty similar groups. Again, left shift, wind, makes sense. Height over, so the Federal was a 62, the AE was a 62, and you see both of those have majority of the rounds above. And the other thing is, where am I holding on the target? I mean, we have to take that into consideration. I'm shooting a 2 MOA dot. The dot takes up a pretty decent size of that center circle. So, you know, just it is what it is. I enjoyed that. I like doing this once in a while, pulling different cartridges. This barrel has done me very, very well over the years. Like I said, I can pop up some pictures of last week's shooting at the 100-yard mark with the from the bench, and how they were a little bit tighter on that with the bench because there was less movement. I was a little bit more comfortable probably behind the gun. All right, so there we go. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Get down with your rifles every once in a while. You know, you got to see what your abilities are in different conditions, different ammunition, different environments, different positions, and you got to get down and test that stuff as often as possible. That you have to have this knowledge of knowing, hey, if I have to take this shot, where am I? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to push some targets out a little bit farther. I'm going to put a piece of steel out. I'm going to head out to 150 and see what happens at 150. So stand by. Okay, everybody, I hope you enjoyed that. The 50-yard ammo comparison out of my 13.7-inch barreled rifle. Get out, do that as often as possible. That's all I have for you today. Get out and train, stay safe, stay free, die trying.